7 strategies to handle power struggles with your teen. In this video, I'm going to share 7 strategies that will help you handle power struggles with your teen. Hi, my name is Bill Reinecke, and as a parent of twin teens myself, I know how difficult it can be when kids start pushing back on what we say. But don't worry, I've got some powerful strategies for handling these situations without having to argue or resort to punishment. As your teenager develops and continues on their journey to adulthood, they are in a stage of development that is pushing the boundaries and limits. As parents, we're setting the boundaries. Since our teens are pushing the boundaries and limits and we're setting them, there is a natural conflict that results. This is called a power struggle. The thing to remember is that our teenagers have nothing to lose in the process. Sure, they may be grounded or experience some sort of restriction, but a power struggle is just that. It's a struggle for power, and since they don't have any power, they have nothing to lose. The key to manage power struggles is to have strategies to avoid and diffuse the tension. It's also best to realize and keep in mind that it's not about winning as it is about coming to a resolution or agreement. Please take a moment and subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you can be made aware of all new videos that come out. Here are 7 strategies to keep in mind when being engaged in a power struggle. 1. Remain calm. It's normal to become anxious and even angry when being engaged in a power struggle by your teenager. Remember, when you become anxious or angry, you begin to lose rationale. It's normal to experience some type of emotion. The best way to communicate that you are calm is to use a calm voice with an appropriate volume and tone. When you are calm, it helps to diffuse the situation and prevent your teenager from becoming angry and irrational. Remember, you want to meet the emotion with the appropriate response. If your teenager becomes agitated and raises her voice, then you want to respond in a calm, collected tone. By doing this, you're not only keeping your head on your shoulders, you're modeling for your teen how to discuss and express their feelings appropriately and come to a resolution. It's important to remember that just because you are being confronted and engaged by a power struggle does not mean that you have given up any power. Power is given up by the parent when they become angry and irrational. This is a clear sign that you have given your power over to your teen in this situation. 2. Pick and choose your battles. Don't let your teenager decide which battles you engage in. As the parent, you get to decide which battles are important and whether or not they're worth the energy to engage. You have to decide if a certain topic is really worth engaging or if it's that important or really matters. For example, does it really matter how your teenager wears their hair or what clothes they choose to wear? Sometimes you have to just let it go. It's okay to agree to disagree. Keep in mind the goal to maintain good communication with your teenager, and it's not about you as the parent always having the last say or trying to show who is in control. It's about maintaining control. Sometimes you have to allow discussions or power struggles to end with allowing your teenager to have the last word. This doesn't change any boundaries or limits that you set in the process. The last person to speak does not determine who the winner is. 3. Be consistent. It's important to set clear rules and expectations. It's helpful to write down house rules so there's no question about them. When your teenager breaks the rules or crosses a limit, it's important to direct them back to the expectation of them. When your teenager breaks the rules or crosses a limit, it's important to direct them back to the expectation of them. For example, if there's no phones after 10 o'clock on weekdays, then you have to enforce this consistently. It's important that you don't enforce the rules and expectations just part of the time. This sends a mixed message and says that the rules are not important. It makes it especially difficult to enforce them when you need to. Being consistent helps your teenager to be comfortable with the rules and know what to expect also. 4. Maintain respect always. It's not uncommon for teenagers to come across being disrespectful with the tone and volume of their voice. A reason they do this is to show that they have some power when in fact they don't. Remember, they have nothing to lose. This is a perfect time to not only maintain control of the situation, it's a great time to turn the situation around for the better. Too often, parents respond to snarky teens in the same manner, raising their voice and yelling at their acting out teenager. This is never helpful because it always turns into a yelling match. Remember, if you lose your rationale and your cool, you have given your power to your teenager. It's important to never humiliate or embarrass your teenager in front of other people. This is extremely belittling and sets you up for future difficulties. One of the best ways to show and demonstrate respect in a difficult situation is to never belittle your teen by saying something like, "You always act like a child." Instead, try saying something like, "I know you're upset and that's okay. I believe in you and I know you can turn this around." It's always helpful to try to put yourself in their shoes also. 5. Give your teenager responsibility for their behavior. Always remember that how your teenager responds to your rules and boundaries is not up to you. Their acting out behaviors are not your fault, or are you responsible for them? It's always best to help your teenager make the right choices. The best way to do this is by giving them choices and helping them make the choice to be in control of their behavior. For example, if they don't want to do their chores, and respond by giving them a choice to do their chore or the choice to experience the consequence. If they choose the consequences for not doing their chores, keep in mind that this was their choice and they are responsible for their choice. Sometimes it's hard to see the choices our teenagers make and we want to give in. This is most important to be consistent and enforcing the rules and expectations. 6. Make consequences and limits reasonable and enforceable. We have all become angry in the moment and grounded our teenager for life. Maybe we had a bad day and we come home and find that they have not done their chores for the 10th day in a row. We become extremely angry and we ground them forever. Such a consequence is neither reasonable or enforceable. You cannot ground your teenager for life. Perhaps a reasonable response would be that for each day they don't do their chores, they lose a privilege or are grounded for 2 days. This type of consequence is both reasonable and enforceable. 7. Recognize and acknowledge good behavior. Acting out and bad behaviors are always the behaviors that are most often noticed. Good behaviors are often the ones that go unnoticed and unrecognized. If your teenager does their chores and lives up to the expectation, it is important to acknowledge that they have done well and thank them. For example, if things have gone well and they have been helpful, and then acknowledge it and let them know that you appreciate them. It's not uncommon to go out of our way to find bad things, but be just as vigilant, if not more, in finding the good things that they are doing. Point out their positive behaviors so they become more aware of them. As you do this, the desirable behaviors become the norm and less of an exception. Think of the last time somebody thanked you and acknowledged you for something you did well. How did that make you feel? Imagine how it feels for your teenager to hear you tell them how proud of them you are and thank them. These tips are not always easy to maintain and remember when you're being engaged in a power struggle. As parents, we are not perfect and we make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. Give yourself permission to make mistakes and forgive yourself. Make a habit of utilizing these tips. The thing to remember is these tips don't stand alone. They are designed and intended to complement each other. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you received some value, please make sure to like this video and please support this channel by subscribing. Thank you for watching.